Am I the asshole for leaving my girlfriend of 7 months after she flew to Puerto Rico for 2 weeks without telling me anything? I, 30M, and my ex-girlfriend, 37F, had been having some trouble for the past month. I work as a firefighter and paramedic. She is an analyst for a company which shall remain anonymous. For all intents and purposes, her name shall be called Lisa. I had finished working a 72-hour shift and had gotten home that morning around 7:30 hours. I came home to my bed, which I stripped and jumped into, thankfully, as the past 72 hours had been completely unforgiving. For those of you who have worked in this field, you will understand that a post-shift nap is absolutely needed. She pulled up to the driveway and immediately came into the room, saying that we needed to go out and do something. I said that I would really like to sleep and I was tired. I didn't really want to go out or do anything because of how tired I was. She said, "I don't understand why you're tired. It's just 72 hours. It's not like it's a lot of time." I looked at her, exhausted, and said that I would like to just sleep today. "You're more than welcome to come over here and snuggle up with me and nap." She declined that invitation. She then proceeded to get on my computer and do some work on it. I passed out. When I arrived, she was gone, and the computer had been shut off. I sleepily got up from bed, my eyes half shut, and wandered over to the fridge and grabbed a few eggs and made a small meal for myself. During my little cooking session, I checked my phone and looked at the time and texted her. "Good morning, darling. I'm sorry I just now woke up," I said. The time now being 5 p.m. I never got a response the rest of the day. I looked at where her location was on our shared location app and found that she was at the airport later on that night. I asked, "Why isn't she messaging me back? Did I do something wrong or is she busy with work stuff?" I fell back to sleep shortly after that. The next morning, I woke up around my usual 5:30 a.m. time frame due to my fractured sleep schedule to make some coffee. I looked at my phone to find that she was now located in Puerto Rico. I messaged her asking, "Babe, why are you down there in Puerto Rico?" No response for the entire day. In fact, the next 4 days were complete radio silence. I checked my phone in hopes that she would have responded with something. Occasionally, I would see where she was at night. Each night, a different house, a different bar or restaurant. This pattern kept up each day and night. I decided after night 4 of this radio silence, I would mimic that pattern she had decided to establish. I went back to work after my 4th day off and got into the station that morning at 6 a.m. for shift change. I decided to be on the boo-boo box as one of the other guys who had been detailed to our station for the last day of his 72-hour shift. Gage had been on the ambulance for the past 2 days, and I wanted him to have some reprieve from the constant calls on the medic unit. I started the check for the ambulance like I have always had for the past 10 years. I got a message from her mid-check saying, "Babe, I am trying to find myself and have some peace. I will message you when I get back." I looked down at my phone, shocked. I didn't know what to say. I didn't know what to reply back with. I took another long sip of my coffee and just sat there in the captain's seat in the back of the box, staring at the message. My buddy Ron came over to the back of the box and hopped in with me to go over the ALS drugs and asked me what was wrong. I showed him my phone and told him what had been going on. After finishing the story, he sat there and shook his head. "Dude, why do you always get the stupid and crazy women who decide to do this to you?" I just shrugged and looked back at him. "I don't know, man. I have been a stable person for her. Keep in mind, I have been there for her through her moments of her alleged PTSD, the times she had broken down in front of me about her past SA by her family members. I had been there for her at the drop of a hat if something was wrong. I never asked anything of her. I was the picturesque boyfriend who did everything that I could for her because I genuinely loved her. I pleasured her over and over again until she couldn't stand with my mouth and my junk every time she wanted it, which was multiple times a day. I couldn't figure out why she would throw all of that away. I regained my thoughts and went through the rest of my shift. I ignored my phone outside of looking at notes for calls, music for working out with my buddy Ron and my lieutenant, and showing goofy reels to the rest of the crew. When you work with a group of people for 24 hours, you have to make the most of it, because the rest of the crew will feed off of that negative energy. So in this case, it was more of a smile and wave instance. That same night, between calls, I laid back down in my bed and checked out where she was in Puerto Rico, just to satisfy my brain. I took a screenshot and added it to the collection of places that she had been staying at and cross-referenced it with listings on Google. I wasn't dumb. She was at a hotel and bar that was now located on the beach. I closed my phone, rolled over, and tried to sleep that night. I wasn't able to, between my brain overthinking about the situation and the constant red lights kicking on above my head. I went through the rest of the tour like this, trying to figure out what did I do wrong, where did I go wrong, and was I not enough for her? The last day of the tour came on 4 days later, and I got another message from her. "I'll come home soon. I miss you and I love you." I just shook my head and blocked her number instantly. I went throughout the rest of the shift without even paying attention to my phone. I threw myself into the gym for 3 hours with my buddy Ron and destroyed myself, attempting to numb myself. After I got up for shift change the next morning, I opened up my phone to find that she had tried to call me 3 times. I deleted the notifications and went about my usual business of going through shift change with the oncoming crew. We sat and drank coffee together in the front control room and shot the shit together, made fun of one another, and filled each other in on the stupidity of the shift from yesterday and last night. Leaving the station, I went back home and did the same thing I always did by jumping back into bed. Before I got to sleep, I checked her location again for shits and giggles and found that she was in Florida. I just shook my head and deleted the tracking app. It wasn't any use trying to figure out where and why. I just didn't care anymore. She refused to talk to me and refused to communicate with me. I looked around at my room and gathered all of her stuff that she had left in the room into a pile. I decided that this had gone long enough, and I refused to be a stone while she was doing what she was doing, regardless of how tired I was from work. I went to the closest Lowe's and grabbed a plastic tote. I returned to put all of her stuff into it. I looked at the pictures she had made for us and the gifts she had given me. I put them all into the box, not feeling anything. Just emptiness. I had figured out where she had lived at based on where her location was over the past 6 months and drove to that location. It was about a 20-minute drive. When I got there, I found that there was a man outside washing her car. I pulled up to the house and opened the back of my car to remove the tote. I looked up to find him looking over at me. "Hey there," I said as I pulled the tote out of the back of my car. He stopped washing his car and set the hose down. "Hey, how can I help you, sir?" he asked. "I don't know who you are, but does Lisa live here?" I asked back. His face changed to a confused look. "Yeah, she lives here. I'm her husband. Why do you ask?" I looked at him with a surprised look and shook my head. I looked down at the tote for a second and looked back at him. "Sir, are you aware of what your wife has been doing with me?" I asked, hoping that he wouldn't try to do anything stupid. He puffed his chest up a little and asked what I meant, to which I asked him, "Are you both polyamorous, or are you guys going through some marital problems?" I tried asking these additional questions to try and cue him into what I was getting at with me being there and her recent actions. I saw the look in his eyes and the disbelief. I saw the light drain from his eyes and the disappointment in his face. He said, "Not again? She's done things like this in the past, and I thought we could have worked through everything." I shook my head. "Sir, I would like to help you with all the things she has been doing to me the past 2 weeks," I said. I spent the next 30 minutes showing him all of the information I had gathered. Trends, screenshots, messages. I figured that I would help him out since this woman had given him problems in the past. He was unaware of the entire situation. He thought she was happy. He thought the same thing I did up until she decided to go on this trip. I looked at her husband. "I'm Mike," I told him. He looked up at me with tears in his eyes. I'm Ben. Nice to meet you, Mike. I'm so sorry about you having to go through this. I looked over at him and gawked at the audacity. Ben, you have been through it worse than me. She has been doing this to you for I don't know how long now. We both rolled our eyes and sat back on the couch and chair. I looked over at Ben. Hey, would you like me to send you all of the information in a drive file for you for the divorce? He sat back up and looked at me. You would do that for me? I honestly have no idea what to do. I looked back at him. You need to get out of this and take your daughter out of this environment, my guy. She is just going to continue to do this to you, I said. He nodded and got out his phone. We exchanged and transferred the data over to each other. We also swapped phone numbers in case he needed additional information from me. I walked out of his house and set the box of her stuff next to the garage and looked back at Ben. Hey, did you want to get a drink? He looked over and shook his head. Nope. I'm going to take care of this divorce stuff today. Thank you again for your help. We embraced in a bro hug for a few seconds. I stood back and looked at him. The initial husk of a man that had been thrown for a loop with a boatload of information of his soon-to-be ex-wife had found a new drive. A drive to better his life. I left his house full of hope that he would be able to get through this challenge. I went back home and removed her from all of my social media posts, profiles, and changed my status to single. I changed my profile information to be private as well, so no one could see that I was single. I didn't care anymore. I don't need or want anybody. I have been through enough crap in my life. I had been through shitty situations before with ex-girlfriends and my ex-wife. I had never been through something like this before. Over the next week, I continued to go through my routine of working and going to the gym. I found myself taking more time for myself. I threw myself into writing my smut series that I had started prior to meeting Lisa. One afternoon when I was home, I got an envelope from her at a different address from where she had supposedly lived. I hadn't gotten any information or an update from her soon-to-be ex-husband about the situation. I opened up the envelope to find that she had written a 46-page letter to me with included pictures. To save you all the trouble of the whole letter, I will give you the Cliff Notes. She wrote that she was on a journey to find herself. She wanted to have her own time away from me because she felt that she was trapped with me. She wanted to relay that she still loved me in 12 different ways and proceeded to describe to me in each way what I was to her. She then ended the letter with that she was hoping to meet me at a restaurant in the near future. She gave the date, and it was a few days forward in the near future to try and smooth over everything. After going through the rest of the letter, I sat there in disgust. She was really trying to salvage this dead relationship, which had been dead for the past near month. What reasoning does she have to try? I was over this crap and over her. I didn't need her or want any woman to be in my life in a relationship sense. She killed that dream and that idea in my heart and soul. I tossed the letter into a burn pit I had made and lit it on fire, as well as the pictures she had included. I lit them on fire and watched it all burn in front of me. I then doused the ashes and walked back inside. I then had an idea to text a friend of mine that I went through the academy with. Jessica was feisty and had a huge attitude. I called her within the next few minutes and asked her if she and her fiancé would be okay with me borrowing her for the alleged date that my ex had set up. I told her the whole story with her fiancé listening on in the background. After I completed the story, she audibly laughed out loud and said that I had gotten into a little bit of a pickle. She agreed she would be my date for this little meetup and act like my new girlfriend. The day of the meetup came. Jessica and her fiancé came with me in my car. Her fiancé posted up a few tables down from me and Jess. Lisa walked into the building and saw me. She walked over to me and sat down in front of me and Jessica, not paying attention to who was with me. She looked up and saw her. Jessica leaned over and held my arm while she asked me, "Oh, this must be the bitch that cheated on her husband with you and then proceeded to cheat on you with God knows how many men down in Puerto Rico." Lisa looked up and saw what was going on. The tears ran up through her eyes. You replaced me already? You never loved me at all. You just wanted an excuse, she sobbed. I looked at her. No. You decided consciously to leave. You decided to do what you did down in that country with who knows how many men. You decided to cheat on your husband with me and the other men down there. You chose to throw everything away for your own selfish reasons. Now you are getting what you deserve, I calmly stated. I looked over at her, calm. No tears, no apathy, just cold, calculated words. I'm sorry, she said. I looked at her, and Jessica looked up and lit into her. No, you're sorry you got caught. You thought you would and could come back to him without expecting him to catch what you were doing, she said. Now you're trying to weasel your way back into this like nothing happened. He is actually one of the most detail-oriented men that I know and have come to love. He tracked your movements and the spots you were at. Did you not expect him to actually pay attention? I motioned for Jessica to let it go. I have relayed all of this information to your husband, which you should be hearing from him, if you haven't, about everything. She looked up, completely changed in her face after hearing that last statement. Her demeanor changed. No, he'll roll over and take it. He has no balls to do anything. Just then, her phone buzzed. She answered it. Yes, honey? I heard bits and pieces of the conversation. Her husband had filed for divorce and was in the process of getting orders to move to a different state. She could expect the papers to be served to her in the next day or so. She hung up the phone, face pale and defeated. I looked over at her and sat back in my chair with a smile on my face. Now that you have that information, you can understand why I'm with Jessica here. She doesn't want to take advantage of me or use me. She is actually loyal, unlike you. I looked over at her as she started to cry. I got up with Jessica and walked out of the restaurant. I got in the car with her and drove around the block to wait for her fiancé. We sat in the car laughing together. I hugged her and thanked her for the help in dealing with the snake of an ex. Jessica's fiancé jumped into the car and we took off for a bar 10 miles away. Hey, as a thank you, I want to get you guys a beer, I said. Jessica and her fiancé both looked up. At this time of the day, she said. I nodded and continued to drive. Her fiancé looked up and told me that he had gotten everything on camera for me. During the short trip, he uploaded the video to YouTube. During the next 2 hours of us catching up, the video hit 300,000 views. I laughed out loud after the fiancé showed me the analytics. I knew that I had dodged a bullet with this dumb woman.